Listen, as of today, all thugs are canceled. If you identify as a thug, if you glorify or portray yourself as a thug, if you down with the destruction and the terrorizing of your own people, you cancel. All thugs are canceled. We're not condoning that mindset anymore. All thugs are canceled. If you identify as a thug, if you glorify a lifestyle of selling drugs to your own people, of scamming your own people, of killing your own people, we done. You have no more voice in our community. All thugs are canceled. We're not listening to you no more. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We do not glorify that lifestyle anymore. You're done. We're not dealing with that no more. All thugs are canceled. It's over with. If that is a lifestyle that you portray, if that is a lifestyle that you glorify, if you are contributing to the terrorizing of your own community, to the scamming of your own people, to the destruction of your own people, you no longer have a voice in our community. We are not listening to you anymore. All thugs are canceled. Thugs are not men. Thugs are boys. And it's time for the men to step up. It's time for the men to get their voice back. We are not going to continue to go down the path of self-destruction and allow this mindset to continue to destroy our own community. We're not doing it anymore. All thugs are canceled. We're not dealing with this mindset anymore. We're not doing this anymore. We are not going to continue to let boys lead our community down a road of destruction. I don't care how much money you make. Your money is no good with us. We don't care anything about that. Money does not make you a man. Money doesn't make you a man. You got all the money in the world, but you're untrustworthy. You're unorganized. You're unethical. What good is your money? We don't care nothing about that. We don't care about your money. We don't care about your reputation. It's canceled. You have no more voice in our community no more. And so for me and the people that I represent, we represent real manhood. We represent a standard. And we're not going to continue to fall down to this mindless, ridiculous mindset of terrorizing our own people to get ahead. We're not doing it. We're not glorifying it. We're not putting it at the forefront. You no longer have a voice in our community. Period. If that's the lifestyle that you want to portray, I'm going to call you out at every chance I get. If you refuse to deny that type of lifestyle, I'm going to call you out every chance you get. If you are not giving us any kind of message of growth, of self-development, and you're continuing to glorify the destruction of your own people, we done with you. You no longer have a voice in our community, period. All thugs are canceled. We cannot keep letting this mindset destroy us. We have enough enemies. We have enough people that are trying to destroy us, but we can't even prepare ourselves to be ready for that because we killing ourselves. We killing ourselves. It's like the faucet in the drain. We get all of this newfound wealth from our talents, our abilities, and our gifts, and we flush it right back down the drain because we're using our talents to glorify the destruction of ourselves. And so no matter how much money we make, we can't get ahead. We're not doing it no more. It's over with. It's time for men to stand up and say something. Did you know that black fathers are the most involved fathers of any ethnic group of people? It's time for us to make our voice heard in this. I'm not dealing with it no more. Period. I have to call it out. We are giving microphones, we giving platforms to people that we know are contributing to the destruction of our community. And we want to hear what they got to say. We want to take their money. We compromise ourselves by condoning them and putting them at the forefront because of the money they got in their pocket. We are just as responsible for giving them the platform because they figured out how to get some money, but they have no integrity. They're untrustworthy. They have a terrible reputation. They done manipulated and misused people to get those resources. And we give them a platform. That's why we destroying ourselves. And so it's time to set a new standard. It's time for us to set a new standard. We have to have a standard in how we deal with one another, and how we interact with one another, and how we communicate with one another. We have to set a standard. And that standard is, number one, we are not going to contribute to the destruction of our own people. We are not going to contribute to the detriment of our own people. We got to have a standard of integrity. We have to have a standard of trustworthiness, of reputation, of building one another up, of sharing information. If you contributing to scamming your own community to make your money, your voice is no longer good with us. We're calling you out. We are not going to accept you because you found a hustle, you found a scheme that involves taking advantage of your own people, and now you're a multimillionaire. We don't want to hear what you got to say. It's other ways to be successful. It's other ways to make money. It's other ways to get to the bag that are legitimate, that are done with integrity. So we canceling that. We done with it. We are not listening to you anymore. We don't want to hear what you got to say. Listen, a thug is not a man. A thug is a boy. He is a boy that does not know how to solve his problems outside of doing things that are immoral or illicit. He don't know how to think his way out of his circumstances without doing crime. And so listen, we've all been there in our younger ages. We 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, we trying to figure out life. We all do things, right, that we regret. But if you're a grown man condoning this lifestyle, if you're a grown man contributing to this lifestyle, you have no excuse. You have absolutely no excuse. We're not condoning it anymore. We're not. It's been 30 years of perpetual thugging, and we haven't learned our lesson. It's been 30 years of continuous song after song after song after song, glorifying the idea of destroying our own community. D1 can't be the only one speaking up. Real men also have to speak up. Real men also have to say something and say that we've had enough. If we are the most involved fathers in our children's lives, we need to be the most involved in our community. And that starts with us setting a standard. And we're not going for it no more. We're not doing it anymore. We're not condoning that lifestyle. We see where it leads. Every other week, a local rapper is getting killed, is getting shot. And we've been seeing this for the last 30 years. We've been seeing the same thing for the last 30 years. And so guess what? We don't have no more excuses. We can't keep blaming other people for our circumstances if we keep falling into the same trap. People always talk about the system. They always want to talk about, man, the system is, I get caught up in the system. But nobody can really define what the system is. Nobody really explains it. The system is the environment. It is the environment that they put us in. When they put mice in a maze, or they put apes or primates in a maze, they're putting them in a specific environment to see how they react under certain conditions. And when they do that, what they come up with is data and statistics to say, okay, if we put these conditions like this, we know at least 90% of them are going to make this decision. And so, yeah, there may be 10% that may be gifted, that may be special, that may do something else, but we know we got the 90%. And so they create the environment already knowing the statistics. And so guess what? They got us. They got us. We did not know this in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. We didn't know that there was government funded operations to pump drugs into our community, to send guns into our community. We didn't know that this money was going to fund a war and would create the crack epidemic. We didn't know that we had an investigative team through the FBI, through an operation called COINTELPRO, that was meant to cause dissent and disruption in the black community so that we would never unite. We didn't know what we was up against. We didn't know that. We didn't know that we was being infiltrated. We didn't know what the enemy was doing to us, right? And so we fell victim to it, right? In the 80s with the crack, in COINTELPRO in the 90s, right? With the murder rate going sky high in the crime bill. They got us. But that was 30 years ago. And we still doing the same thing. We still talking about drugs, knowing where the drugs come from and how they get into our communities. And we still talking about selling dope. We still talking about killing each other, knowing that it's a plan for that to happen. Knowing. That's willful ignorance. That's willful ignorance. It's time to stop that. It's time to change our mentality. We're doing the same thing and we know what was done to us. Now there's no excuse. Now we can't blame other people. We have to take accountability for ourselves. We have to change our mindset. They've laid the environment, right? Why do you think all ghettos look the same? You can go on the East Coast, West Coast, South, and the hood looks the same. They create the environment, knowing if we create the right environment, we got 90% of them. That 10% that get out, that think their way out, we got another plan for them. We're going to find other ways to manipulate them, right? To bring down their moral character and their moral compass. And then out of that 10%, maybe only one or two get through and really, really have the opportunity to make change. But they already got the 90 because they've created the environment. The system is the environment. And so we are allowing this environment to be created, but this is the difference. We have 30 to 40 years of evidence. Don't go this way. Don't make this decision. Don't fall for this. We got 30 years of evidence and we still doing the same thing. We conditioned to do the same thing. Now it's on us. And so as of today, all thugs are canceled. That mindset, that idea, that is no longer viable in our community. Period. We're not thugging. We're not sending them to the White House. We're not putting them in front of a microphone trying to figure out how they did this or that. They've led our community down a path of destruction. Period. I don't care where you came from. I don't care how hard your life was. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. It don't get no tougher than that, no matter where you come from. We've all been faced with tough decisions. It's time for us to change the decisions that we're making, period. It's time for us to change that. And so we're not condoning that no more. We're not condoning that lifestyle. We're not glorifying that. And we are not going to give you a voice in our community if that's what you want. Period. We're not giving you a voice no more. And I know how I go. See, you're always going to get 5-10% bad apples, right? They just get in trouble. I know how it is, right? But this is how I know they're bad. They get in trouble and they keep the same energy. But now I look at y'all and y'all call yourself thugs. Y'all call yourself tough. Y'all got all of these guns and then you get to court and speak proper English. You have all of this talk for people that look just like you. People whose mama's crying just like yours. You'll do anything to somebody that look just like you, but then you get to court and you speak proper English. That's how I know it's a mindset. You're not really like that. And so that mindset is done. All thugs are canceled. Thugs are not men. That's not a man. I don't care how much money you make. Money does not make you a man. We have this misconception of what we think manhood is, right? We have two generations of fatherless homes. And so now everybody just trying to redefine and recreate what manhood is, and nobody knows what it is. I'm going to tell you what manhood is. In order for you to be a man, you need three things. You need vision, you need provision, and you need improvision. The first thing that you have to have as a man is a vision. You got to know your purpose. You can't lead anybody anywhere if you don't know your purpose. Your purpose is not anything complicated. It's not a job. It is not a business. Your purpose is God's original instruction in your life. It's simple. God called you to do something. That's your original instruction. He called you to lead. He called you to teach. He called you to nurture. He called you to entertain. He called you to build. He called you to do something. And you have to figure out what that is. You have to figure out your original instruction. If God called you to lead, you're going to find yourself leading in every circumstance that you can think of. You're going to be leading on the 100th floor of the building downtown, or you're going to find yourself leading a group of people to get out of the jungle. Wherever you find yourself, if God called you to lead, you're going to find yourself leading. If God called you to teach, you are going to naturally, as a consequence of your original instruction, find yourself teaching people in any capacity that you find. That's your original instruction. And so the first thing that you have to have as a man is you have to have a vision. You have to know your purpose. What has God called you to do? Because once you know that purpose, once you have that vision, now you have a guiding light that guides your daily decisions, that guides your actions, that guides how you discipline yourself, that guides what you prioritize, that guides your decision making. You can't have anything guiding you if you don't even know where you're going. And so in order for you to be the man, the first thing you got to know is your purpose. What is your original instruction? You got to know your purpose. That is going to dictate how you live your life. That's going to dictate what you prioritize. That's going to dictate your daily discipline. That's going to dictate who you need to surround yourself with. As a man and as a father, that's going to dictate how you structure your household. That's going to dictate how you discipline your children, because you're doing it all towards a purpose, towards an original instruction. You have a vision of what your life and your family's life is to be. And you are guiding, you are deciding, and you are living towards that purpose. You got to have a vision. You got to have that as a man. If you don't know your purpose, you can't be a man. What is your original instruction? You got to have a vision. But once you have a vision, the next thing that you have to have is provision. How are you going to provide toward your purpose? How are you going to advance yourself and your family interest towards that purpose? What are you going to do? How are you going to make money? How are you going to be able to provide for that family? And listen, people think that provision is just about money. Provision is not just about money. Provision is about resources. As a man, it's your job to be a steward of resources. Your goal is to take your resources and use those resources to advance the family interest. Money, land, investments, reputation, relationships, all of those are resources. It's not just your money. Because if you got a lot of money, but you have a bad reputation, you're untrustworthy, people don't like you, what good is your money? How can you advance the family interest if you have a bad reputation? When I tell my children to go somewhere and tell them that your dad sent you, my children are benefiting from my reputation. I'm being a steward of resources. I'm using my resources to advance the family interest. Provision is not just about money, it's about resources. You can make all the money in the world, but you got bad habits. You don't manage your money well. You're not growing or protecting your wealth. What's the point of making the money? You have to have provision. You need to be able to provide for your vision and your purpose to advance the family interest. How you going to do that? All of us start out with nothing, right? Nothing but the sum total of our talents, abilities, and gifts. That's what you start with. Some have more than others. But the one thing that we all have, regardless of the physical talents or the gifts that we can quantify, the one thing that we all have is our work ethic and our initiative. So if you start in this world with nothing, the one thing that you got is the initiative, the ability to initiate. If you see something that needs to be done, go do it. You see something else that needs to be done, go do it. Take the initiative to do things over and above what you are paid or compensated for. Initiative gets noticed. You don't have anything else. If you don't feel like you have any talent, you don't have anything to offer to the world, offer your initiative. And your initiative will get noticed. And if you take initiative enough, eventually you will figure out where your initiative fits best. And that will guide you toward your purpose. But the more initiative you take, right, the more money you can require for your time. And in the beginning, all we have is the sum total of our talents, abilities, gifts, ideas, habits, disciplines, and inclinations. And we use those, right, to be able to trade our money for time. The more things you specialize in, the more time that you invest in yourself, right, the more money that you can make for your time. That's why professions are so important, right? Like doctors, like attorneys, like engineers, right? They, in the beginning, invest in their talents, abilities, and gifts, and then eventually they're able to require more money for their time. You can't build wealth like that. You can only increase your income. But once you have that, then the next step is to take that discretionary income and own things of value, right? You can either buy assets, create assets, or become an asset, right? You can take that discretionary income and invest it, buy assets, buy things of value, stocks, bonds, real estate, land, businesses, artwork, etc., right? Those things appreciate over time without the requirement of your time, right? The next thing you can do is create assets. When you start a business, you are creating an asset. You are creating something that has value over and above yourself, right? The more value you add to the world, the more money you garner from that asset, and it becomes eventually a separate asset that you can either sell on the open market or transfer to your children. You're creating an asset when you own a business. And then the last thing is to just reinvest in yourself to become more of an asset. Specialize more, right? Reinvest in your knowledge and your education and your gifts so that you can require more for your time. And then you just repeat the process. You repeat the process. The more money you make, the more you have to either buy assets, create assets, or continue to reinvest in yourself to become an asset. And eventually, the assets that you own will replace your time. That's how you create wealth as a man. That's how you create the provision to take you to your vision. And then the last thing that you have to have as a man is improvisation. Life is tough. You will fail. You will lose. You will be heartbroken. You will be betrayed. But it is your job as a man to figure out how to improvise. how to figure things out, how to make it happen regardless. You have to be able to improvise. As a man, your family is the first, your family looks at you as the first place to understand how to deal with conflict. You are the first person that your children look at when they're trying to understand how to deal with conflict. And if they see that you as a man can't handle conflict, can't handle stress, can't handle failure, cannot handle the ups and downs of life, they're going to inherit those insecurities from you. And so as a man, you have to be able to improvise. You have to be able to figure it out. You're going to fail. You're going to lose. You're going to get your heart broke. You got to be able to figure it out. You got to be able to improvise because everybody's looking at you in the way that you handle it. Your children inherit that. And so if they see your calmness, if they see your resolve, if they see your confidence in the midst of a storm, guess what? They're going to take that on. And so manhood is more than just being able to make a lot of money. It's more than having a deep voice. It is about having a vision, having provision, and having improvision. And that's the message that we are sending to our youth. Yeah, life is going to be tough. We all start from different circumstances. We all have different resources. But at the end of the day, it's on you. And the one thing that we are not going to do is compromise the integrity of our community for the financial gain of the individual. We are not going to compromise the integrity of our community for the financial gain of the individual. That means we're not going to keep messing over each other. We're not going to keep taking advantage of one another. We're not going to keep hurting one another. We can't do it. We cannot survive that way. We can't change our circumstances like that. And so as of today, all thugs are canceled.